What's up everyone, CR2 here. Welcome back to CR2 Racing. Today got you week 3 for ARCA and we'll be at USA International Speedway. Otherwise, if you're looking for the setup file, it is Lakeland. Expect 76 degree air. This is just straight off of the schedule, and then you hit test drive. You should hopefully be getting 76 degrees air temp and then 78 degrees for the track temp. As far as for officials go, you can probably expect as low as 74, maybe as high as say 83. I kind of like to take this and then go plus or minus 5 degrees. I think we've seen relatively temperature swings of up to that variation for the first couple weeks of official. But anyway, I really enjoy how the new ARCA cars feel for short tracks. They still feel plenty fast. Plenty of wheeling, in my opinion, still required. You have to be careful getting back on the throttle. And they still feel very Gen 4 quick, just it being a short track. Probably not so much draftiness as we've seen with especially Charlotte, Dover for this now outgoing week. A little bit to a lesser degree. So just my personal settings, 8-1, just shortest for short tracks. I don't like to turn the wheel too much. +8 steering offset, and this is brake bias is pretty heavily driver dependent. My sweet spot has been 57. You set it in the garage, and just remember you can go either +3% or -3%. So up to 60% for myself here, or as little as 54%. But I've seen going anything lower than 56% really gets it loose on entry, and that's what you want to avoid. You want this as low as you can go comfortably without losing control of the car while you're braking. So maybe just for the sake of some comfort, we'll do 58% and then probably put it down to 57 for the qualifying lap. Double check that, okay. And we'll do +0.5. Set up the checkpoint just in case I screw something up. And you can definitely do your high to low run up to the line. Just be careful on throttle. And then shortly after you're chipping out, that's when you want to get into the brakes. And if you kind of screw up your first lap, just keep going, get your run up to start your second lap. Second lap ought to be a little bit faster. This is where I say to be a little bit high on your brake bias, just because you're getting into the brakes pretty hard for your qualifying laps. Roll your center. Be careful on throttle. You can see that's good for a 20.73. So let me take you on around really quickly, just a slow walkthrough of what you're doing on the lap. Actually, we will just go straight to that replay file. So as far as running up to your second qualifying lap, so you can take your run up, run along the wall, try to have your turn down towards the apron, right around this, we'll just say Darlington stripe on the wall. And if you're not doing a run up, as soon as you hear that, that's when you want to brake. You're chipping out, you're maxing out the rev limit. That's your kind of audio signal to get on the brakes, start turning down. You can see I overshot that a little bit, but that just gives you a chance to get back on the throttle sooner with a straighter exit. And this little kind of cutout in the wall for track entry, I use that as my braking marker, pretty much this yellow stripe to mark that ending of the wall previous. Try to get to that yellow line, not too big of a deal. Your biggest concern is don't overshoot your center of turn. And that's good for 20.73. Get on back to live. Still same conditions. This I didn't double check for how long the race should be. It should be 45 laps. Alright, thank you. You don't even tell me. I do believe it's 45 laps, so we'll go for that. So, just a quick callback to the first first week guide I did. I kind of like to mimic an actual official roll off of pit road, race start, all of that. Just this way you're not putting heat into the tires early. I'm sure it doesn't make a difference, but just kind of my own personal preference. Pit car pace should be about 45, so first gear whenever possible. And really for long run, your goal is to not overcook your right rear. As that's your drive off, that's your ability to launch off the corner and get your run started on the car ahead. You also don't want to cook your right front because that's your entry, although I think dialing down some brake bias can counter that. This isn't like Dover where you have to try to save your right front at all costs, but also not give up too much time. I really should not be comparing to all-time best lap. We want to go for last lap tracking. There we go. Okay. So early laps, you may want to be trying to go for 20.9, certainly nothing faster than a 20.8. It's okay if you're up a little high into the turn because that just gives you a straighter exit. You can still wait to hit that chip into either of the turns, but as soon as you hit it, that's your brake turn-in marker. I think it's a little bit better to use that wall into turn 3, a little bit of a clearer marker. For turn 1, if you're looking for a visual marker, I can't really find a good one. So instead of a visual marker for turn 1, use that audible notification. As soon as you hear the engine on that rev limiter, brake, turn on down. And even then, you can kind of anticipate it. Given how you can really get the car to feel loose almost when you want, whether through brake bias for getting into your turns or just really stomp on the throttle for leaving the turns. I don't think dirty air is going to be a big problem. Draft, I have no idea. It might make a small difference, but I don't think the straights are long enough to really do anything with it. See, I'm just rolling my center. Be confident on your brake. Roll your center. Wait till your car begins to turn down. Don't hit that apron. One thing that I've been guilty of, and probably still am a little bit, is kind of modulating my brake pressure on the brake, off the brake a little bit, because I think I undershot it, back on the brake a little bit. Get all your braking done in one go, maybe a little bit of trail braking just to help you hit the center of the turn. Just to show if you're on throttle a little bit too aggressively. You actually don't really feel that slide out until you're straightening out your car. But still, smooth application of throttle is where you want to go. I believe we're coming up on lap 20. Should be a lap 44. Should be lap 21, I believe, on this run. Starting to feel a little bit tight going into the turn, so we could dial down the brake bias a click or two and just make progressive adjustments on it through each turn. Still feeling a little tight, okay, dial it down another click. Felt a little loose, okay, stay right there, put a click back up. Don't make these big swings, because if you start sliding, it's very tough to save it. Almost just letting the pedals do the turning in for us. A little loose there. So in that case, I'm going to put it back up to 0% even, which should be, if I remember right from garage, 57%, maybe 57.5. Just my own theory, if you're kind of loose from entry, you're very well just going to be loose for the rest of the turn. So you want to try to prevent that, because then that just can definitely kill your exit. Let anybody behind you get a run up. You can see with a good lap, we're still very much in the low 21.1s. overshot that a tiny bit, but no big deal. You see right there, just a straighter exit we're allowed to have. We can get on the throttle much more aggressively. Little loose there. This coming week is very much going to be a rhythm sort of track. Just find your rhythm, set into it, do your best to stay in it. Because the way I see it with short tracks, it's very much just knock off your consistent lap times. Don't try to overdrive too much. And just wait for the car in front to make a mistake, overdrive their corner, get loose on exit. Any of that sort. Let's try a higher line. Act like as if we've got a car to our inside. Still keeping the same brake marker. I would imagine high line versus low line is going to behave a little bit like it is with Dover right now. Whereas that low line really needs as much an exit as possible to really get ahead of the car to its outside. Whereas car on the high side kind of has a wider exit and perhaps a slightly straighter exit as well to really get on the power a little bit better and slightly earlier. So if you're in that side-by-side battle, just really be patient is what I would say. You can still really attack these corners late run, so long as you're not badly overdriving your center. See that? A little bit of a shallow exit. Just let that banking rotate your car. Look at that, still a 0.1. A little too aggressive there. Yep, you see we're getting loose. And so we'll put the brake bias up a full percent. So if you're going for the method of charging in on your turn entry, letting that banking rotate your car, and a straight shallow entry, you definitely want a higher brake bias, 58%-ish. If you're kind of doing your wider turn in and your apex is dead center of the corner, you could probably float away with a little bit less of brake bias. But for this coming week, I think it's very much just driver preference. As with, say, steering ratio, offset, that's all a driver preference thing for this week. Because dumping your brake bias all the way down to 50%, plus that little extra 3% you can go down in car. If you can drive just purely with pedals, then absolutely go for that. All the more power to you if you can make that work. What lap are we on currently? Come on. 60. Okay, we are coming up on the end of this practice run. Try to get some really good laps for the last few, sort of as if we're mimicking the closing laps of an actual race. My own personal thoughts on the new ARCA cars, they feel very similar to 87s in how you drive them. Don't really charge too hard into the turns. Wait for the car to be on that right rear whenever possible to get back on throttle. Dover's kind of an exception to that. Difference from ARCA to 87s is, of course, ARCA is much faster. You've got some insane draft, some dirty air effects from car ahead, and possibly to your left or your quarter panel as well. But I think if you're knowledgeable on 87s, you'll be very good in this car. If you're very good in this car already, odds are you could be pretty capable with 87s. They take the same mindset, in my opinion. Just 87s don't have that aerodynamic characteristic in traffic. Should be 2 more laps on this respective run. One more lap. A little bit of a corner diamond there. You can see a middle 21.25 to wrap up the run. So fall off not being that drastic. Let's see. Lap 23 being the first lap, so we did probably give it 1 more extra lap. But after 45, 46 laps, 89, 86, slightly more on the right rear tire wear, I'd say this is pretty solid here. If you're cooking your right front a little bit more, try to be aware of that. But I think for this coming week, plenty of drivability. You can drive it how you want. Sit it on that right front a little bit more. Put it on that right rear a little bit more if you want. Focus on your drive off. So I think a really fun week coming up for new ARCA. None of the aero wash to really worry about. Draft shouldn't be that crazy. Plus, you chip out at pretty well 135 miles an hour. So once everyone's going that fast, draft doesn't do anything. So really set yourself up for being consistent for 45 laps. Try to keep your tire wear even. And as far as your lap time fall off, probably want to try to start with, say, 20.9s. And then if after 45 laps you can still run 21.2s, then you're pretty well on the right track for a strong run this coming week. That being said, guys, hope this is helpful. Thank you very much for watching, and good luck next week for ARCA at USA.